And there was a piece in Alan's show on Sunday that highlights the massive overhaul of our mindsets in a way. And each of us is responsible for doing that, changing the way we think. And the question that came up is, why is Kim or Thomas in those positions? And the argument is, why isn't someone more famous, well-known or wealth-based doing it? Well, you know what? Those famous people, well-known and wealth-based people who ran as trustees before Kim and I got together, or before Kim became the trustee, and they did what for humanity? Nothing. Mandela was famous and he was also a trustee. He did nothing for his people. Marcos, likewise in Asia, nothing. Rothschilds became wealthy because of the trust, I might add. They weren't before. All famous and well-known people, are they not? And all did nothing. Gerard Rand and the Rand Corporation, they're famous. As is Procter & Gamble and the Thrive Groups. And what did their family backgrounds do for humanity? Nothing. Now Kim comes along and people ask, why her? Who is she? The question is, who are you to ask? And why is that question relevant? If I asked you, are you qualified to do your job? Where is the proof you are qualified? Most people would get defensive and or reactive. It's the way it is. And yet these same people ask that of others without thinking. And this is what this piece is about, is getting us to think different. So if you wish to know why Kim is in that position, that answer is, she is best qualified for it, period. Or you can, if you don't believe that, you can check out the multiple of shows and the Q&A sessions that have been done with Kim and decide for yourself from there. Now, the reason for this piece is not to validate Kim. I don't have to do that, or myself for that matter, but to get people to look at how they think and act. For an example, if you're going to demand Kim prove or validate herself, then I would like to ask you back, have you asked your children's teacher, your banker, your doctor, your insurance agent, your mortgage lender and your politician, are they qualified to do their jobs to represent you or your family? Please think on that for a second. How many do? Those I've just mentioned impact everyone's everyday life, and yet how many of you have questioned their credentials? Like I said earlier, we're assuming, are we not? Again, it's not fact or truth, is it? We're assuming that your teacher is qualified and is not a pedo. You're assuming your banker is going to look after your money. Good luck with that. You're assuming your doctor is going to look after your child or family. Again, good luck with that. And we assume our senators are going to look after us. Again, good luck with that. And yet no one asks those questions. Yet some people come along on the internet to try and help us all and get grilled with repeat questions about their life and their background, which is fine to a point. But why the inconsistencies? So if you haven't done that, then you have to ask yourself, why? Why is it only the case that Kim has to be grilled, or I have to be grilled, queried or doubted, because you don't know her? But likewise, you don't know your child's teacher. You don't know your banker. You don't know the private details of your doctor or nurse or politician or mortgage lender or mechanic fixing your car. You assume because there's a mechanic in a mechanic shop that he knows how to fix your car right. It's not always the case, is it? So in a system of change, The last thing we need is some famous TV personality being in front of the Trust or the People's Club in some sort of fake glory role. The so-called glory roles will go to the people that drove the bus before these clowns realised there was a bus. The listeners. Just like me and Kim, ordinary, everyday people trying to do what is best. If you want famous people, go back to the mainstream media and see how much they're going to help you. Those harvesting agents have devoured your life force energy with their constant demands of look at me and look at how important I am because I'm on some giant movie screen, some small TV screen, or as a politician. If they all looked after the people, we wouldn't need to be doing this movement. Your famous peoples you demand have all been involved in some form of criminality and done some of the most heinous crimes you can imagine. And yet some people ask for these to be a front for we the people. Think different, please. We the people is not about so-called famous people. So is it not ironic that two down-to-earth people with no elevated status, balanced egos, service to others who won't be thrown off track or bribed, are the very ones to drive this movement forward? Whether that's Kim or I or someone else of those qualities. If that is not how you are thinking, then clearly you have insecurity issues or an ego imbalance that only you can correct. It's not my problem, it's not Kim's problem, it's yours. And no matter what answer I give as to why Kim is the trustee, will that appease people with that type of thinking? It just won't. But let's look at some possible answers as to why Kim is selected. Does it alter in any way what she has and is still doing? Let's, for example, say Jesus picked her. Will people believe it? Pindar picked her. Will people think she's part of the system? Putin picked her. Same answer as the Pindar. Source or God picked her. Will people believe it? Trump picked her. Half will believe it, half won't, depending on political persuasion. The British royal family picked her. People will think something else. So you see, at the end of the day, it's not really that relevant who picked her and why, but what has she done? Is not that the key factor? The personality doesn't really matter, and I'll give you an example now. And just to make it clear to Mr. Munchkin, this is a hypothetical scenario, which is not real, idiot. But what if Mr. Trump was removed as the president and George Bush Jr. came in and announced sovereignty, declared the military American only, removed the Fed and the IRS and eliminated income tax, plus drained the swamp? Would that bother you? Or would you be pleased at what he did? You see, the personality doesn't matter, does it? It's what you do that counts. No one on this planet is squeaky clean, and yet people go to great lengths to dismiss people or find faults in the very people trying to help you. And yet the same people will not question a doctor, a nurse, a banker who has their money, an investment broker or a politician. They all just assume that they are the best at their job. So the question is, why not assume Kim is?